Used imports and domestics, virtually any make or model, including a great selection of all-wheel drive and 4x4 trucks and SUVs. See us at Danny Meno Rushmore Honda or RushmoreHonda.com. Length of finance contract is limited with qualified credit, expires 4/30/26.
As a rancher in western South Dakota, you know the meaning of hard work. From working cattle to working in the field, you know that the job begins before dawn and can last into the night. You also know that at the end of the day, it's more than just work. It's a way of life. When it comes to banking, you need a bank that values your time and is committed to your growth. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in South Dakota. This is sportsmanship. School sports, it's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Text scams continue to rise, and victims who have lost money to these scams continues to increase. Consumers cannot rely on a text message to be truthful. If you receive a message regarding a fine for missing jury duty, your utilities being shut off for non-payment, toll road fines, or you've won a sweepstakes, these are scams designed with an urgency and the need to send money now. Do not respond to these texts, and you should contact Consumer Protection at 800-300-1986. That's 800-300-1986 for the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
For grabs tonight, Regional 3 final, Texas and Michigan in a 1-2 battle, followed by South Carolina and TCU. That's a 1-3 matchup in Regional 4. Some men's college hoops news. NC State is hiring their former guard, Justin Gainey, to lead their men's basketball program. Gainey's going to replace Will Wade. Most recently, Gainey was an assistant on Rick Barnes' staff at Tennessee. John Gross is leaving Akron to be the new head coach at Charleston. And after 20 years as the head coach at Northern Iowa and 25 years with the program, Ben Jacobson is leaving to be the new men's basketball coach at Utah State. Super Bowl 63 will be held in Las Vegas. It'll take place in February of 2029, approved by owners today at the owners' meetings in Arizona. Rams head coach Sean McVay said the team is considering signing free agent quarterback Kirk Cousins. Vikings will exercise the fifth-year option on wide receiver Jordan Addison's contract. Royals lead the Twins in the 7-3-1.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. The Nate Brown Show is live. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We are back and ready. Glad to have you here. It is always a great day in South Dakota. Can I say that? I believe I can still say that. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Even if my Dukies go down in one of the biggest shots of all time, they're saying one of the biggest shots in NCAA history. I know, I'm back. I'm here. I'm going to face the music. Let's get after this thing. The Nate Brown Show is on, and we got a lot of work to do and a lot of discussions to be had because I'm hearing a lot of the national media. They're telling you how it should have went. They're telling you this. They're telling you that. Let's bring some Nate Brown Show Duke Blue Devil common sense to the program today. Okay, we are live. Welcome in. Fox Sports Radio on KWSN Sioux Falls, yes, and Fox Sports Rapid City. South Dakota Sports Talk Show streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. If you're on X, get us there at Nate Brown Show, and also YouTube. Bring us up, The Nate Brown Show on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe. You've got our channel live and archive shows there. One more place, Midwest Sports Plus, the new high school sports streaming app. Catch The Nate Brown Show live on Midwest Sports Plus. If you have the app, you've got this show ready to go. A lot of ways you can be a part of the program tonight. We'll tell you about that. Let's tell you about our guest lineup. Kerry Miller covering the NCAA tournament. He's got reaction. National college basketball writer for Bleacher Report. Kerry's in tonight from North Carolina. We'll go to the high school side. There's some activities directors meetings going on. So here in South Dakota, the athletic directors get together every spring, and they're getting together today, tomorrow, and I want to get into some high school sports topics with Dan Swartos, the executive director of the Activities Association. He'll be joining me live as the athletic directors all getting together the next couple of days here in South Dakota. We also will go to a former D1 coach. I want to get his read on the coaching conversation. Chris Denker is on tonight. He was the head coach at Santa Clara, now a pro basketball scout, runs his own AAU club. Net Scouts Basketball's Chris Denker with great basketball insight and perspective coming up. It is a Reaction Monday on the Nate Brown Show. That means Rob Kagron is ready. So here's the thing. Rob Kagron's a St. John's alum. He's a Johnny, and he goes down Friday to my Dukies. St. John's was up. Did they get up by 10? At least 10, maybe 11 as I'm watching that thing Friday. St. John's loses to the Dukies Friday. I sent a text to my friend Rob. Tough loss. St. John's, I underrated them. I really did. I thought Duke would be fine there. That was dicey. And then my Dukies go down at a heap yesterday, and he sends me a text. Very nice. He said, now that was crushing. Yes, thank you, Rob. Rob Kagron is in. We'll react to the tournament and how we sit with the Final Four coming up this weekend. A Reaction Monday with national radio host Rob Kagron of The Nate Brown Show. Okay, if you want in tonight, want your opinion, want your perspective, it's all valid. 605-720-1067. 605-720-1067. That's our number. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. Powered by the Pizza Ranch. 2 locations, East River in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Drop by the Pizza Ranch. Bring the family. Home of everyone's favorite buffet. No picky eaters at the Pizza Ranch. They got everything you want. Also, the text line open, 605-720-1067. Hit us on the text line, 605-720-1067. All right. Couple of texts coming in early. As you guys know, I'm a Duke fan. If you listen to this show, I'm not a cocky Duke fan, right? Can I tell you that? I'm not a cocky Duke fan. I'm an emotional Duke fan. We all should be a little emotional. So I've been a Duke fan ever since the Leitner days. So you want to hate me, you hate Christian Leitner and Bobby Hurley and Grant Hill and all that stuff. I've been a Duke guy, not just a bandwagon. I'm all the way back, carried them all the way through, and my Dukies go down yesterday in an unbelievable scene. I'm watching every second of the game. As a matter of fact, we're up by 19, and my wife goes on a walk. She goes on a walk yesterday. Beautiful day, right? She's watching the game. She's like, man, doing great. I'm happy. I'm doing good. She goes on a walk with a friend. She comes back right as the buzzer beater is hit, right as the 35-footer is hit. And then it's ruined. My day, my weekend, my basketball season, my next weekend, the Final Four. It's ruined. And then she didn't even want to watch it. She didn't want to watch it. So what I had to do, I had to rewind it, play it back for her, play it back for my daughter. They just got back from, and I couldn't believe it. I had to rewatch this thing, and I did it over and over and over again. And I was staring at the walls, figuring out, this really happened to the Dukies? They're up by 19, up by 15 at half. And then what do I have to endure? What do I have to endure yesterday? Everybody's an expert now. So everybody, why didn't Caden Boozer hold the ball? Why didn't he hold the ball? Why didn't he throw the ball straight up into the air? Why didn't he do this? Hey, guys, I understand. The common mistakes happen to the best of the best players. You know how many times he has made a pass, ball fake up top, bounce pass down the court? You know how many times a step-through pass? You know how many times he's done that? Thousands. So of course he should have made a better pass. But I mean, all the basketball experts are on here. They're telling me John Shire should have called a timeout. But here's what it's not you guys, but here's what the basketball experts are missing. Duke had the ball under control. If UConn, they took a risk by not fouling right away. They did not foul right away. So if Caden Boozer makes a bounce pass or a step-through pass, a ball fake up top, and a pass down the court, you know what happens, right? Did you guys see it? The Duke players were wide open. It's a dunk. It is over. 4-point game. It's over. And then would you have said, Dan Hurley, why didn't he foul? He went for the steal and the clock ran out, and then he didn't foul. Can you believe it? So that's what happens in basketball games. It's split second. You can't, if you're Jon Scheyer and you break a press like that, we got it to the middle of the floor. He's not, it's split second. We can all go back and replay it and review it and this and that and think within 6 seconds, oh, this isn't going to happen. He's not going to call a timeout when you're about to break a press with a simple step-through pass and a ball fake and a pass down the floor. He's not going to call a timeout so he can let UConn deny the ball again. So get off my guy, Jon Scheyer, about the whole last 10 seconds. The Jon Scheyer thing the last 10 seconds wasn't the problem. He's not going to call a timeout. He wasn't at fault for telling, I guess from the sideline, yeah, throw it ahead. Well, of course throw it ahead. There's wide open players. The game's over. Caden Boozer has done that play thousands of times. It was a good trap. He tried the lob pass. It got deflected. It's all over. There is no going back and saying, do this, hold the ball. If he would have held the ball, you understand he could get trapped right there. You understand he could have got trapped right there. I don't know if they would have fouled him right away or not. Maybe. They might have went in and tried to tie him up for a jump ball. So we can all go through it over and over and over again. Here's where I am going to tell you the issue was, okay? I am going to tell you there's an issue with Jon Scheyer, my head coach. It's the biggest difference between Dan Hurley in that game and Jon Scheyer in that game. Dan Hurley works the refs like you wouldn't believe. So if you watch this game like I did every second yesterday, Dan Hurley is on those officials from start to finish, and he's working them. He got that second half so much on his side that the entire game and the pace of the game changed, flipped, all the way to UConn. If you want to go back and look at it, UConn was in the bonus with 12 minutes left in the game. Think about that. The UConn Huskies are in the bonus shooting free throws with over 12 minutes left in the game. That's it. They had double the fouls. Duke had 8 fouls. UConn had 4. Can you believe that? So I'm not going to whine. You can't whine about the refs, the this, the that. It's Dan Hurley's ability to work the officials, and he does it all the time. I watch these games a lot. He does it all the time. He knows how to do it, and my one complaint about Jon Scheyer, he doesn't really do that. Jon Scheyer does not have that persona, that personality where he's on it. He's here. He's there. Duke was getting roughed up. They were getting manhandled in the post. They were just letting this stuff go. It was a melee out there with Terrace Reed. That big guy for UConn, he was throwing elbows, throwing shoulders, throwing his body, and Jon Scheyer wasn't saying anything. I was watching it. The cameras would go. Hurley working the refs, got the second half shifted his way. Bonus, free throws, that's how you chip away at a game. People wonder, how did Duke lose? You slow down the game, stop the clock, make free throws. They did. That's how it chipped away. Duke got comfortable with a lead, meaning we're still up by 13. Jon Scheyer's not going to get wound up. We're still good guys. And it went to 13, to 11. Then it got single digits. Well, we're still fine. It's 9. It's 7. They played not to lose. You know this framing, right? You've heard this terminology. Duke played not to lose the last 6 minutes. That's a long time to play not to lose. Last 6 minutes, they played not to lose instead of to win. If I'm going to count this up, did Duke take three-point attempts in the second half? They made 1. They didn't take any threes. That tells me what you're doing is, let's work clock. Let's work our system. Let's go to Cam Boozer and nobody else. So you go conservative. Let's just do this and work the clock and work the possession and go to Cam Boozer. They were playing free and loose in the first half. Free and loose. They were knocking down threes, taking threes. I think they took somewhere around 10 threes in the first half. And I understand you don't want to shoot threes all game long when you're up, but you got to stay aggressive. So my big thing as a Duke fan, it's a great team. I think Jon Scheyer's a good coach. I really do. I don't know if the in-game, the working the officials, the in-game adjustments, I don't think it's quite there yet. You can't say Jon Scheyer's a bad coach. The guy is really, really good. Great recruiter, great culture builder, great leader. He's a player's coach. He gets the best players to Duke. So they're top tier, man. I mean, it's a 35-3 team. Their 3 losses are by 5 points. by 5 points this season combined. So let's not kill Jon Scheyer. Let's recognize Dan Hurley just works it. I mean, he absolutely works it. He just stays on him so hard. It's unbelievable. And he got that free throw, that foul situation, that physicality in the second half. He got it shifted to UConn big time. It totally changed the game. Jon Scheyer got fairly comfortable. I think we're going to be okay, he keeps saying. I think we're good. And then a 1 split-second pass, a bad error, and it ends the Duke season. That's what it is. It's not bigger than that, not smaller. It's the game shifted second half and 1 split second. It wasn't Scheyer's fault at the end, and Caden Boozer made a bad pass. That's it. By the way, let me see here. I'm going to go to this. What about the Dan Hurley thing at the end? Did you guys see this? I want to turn this into our question of the day tonight. So Dan Hurley at the end, the whack job he is, they hit the 3. Mullins hits the 3, and they're all celebrating. They're going crazy, and then Dan Hurley stares down one of the officials right in his face. I just laugh because I find the guy entertaining. He's a whack job. It's pretty entertaining. I'm not a fan of his persona, but he knows how to work it. And then he went to that stage where he's celebrating, and then he goes like crazy Dan Hurley mode, and he stares the guy down, and he goes head to head with him. So find this on Twitter or YouTube, wherever you're at. You find it. You watch it. If you're working today, you haven't been able to find this. I didn't see this till this morning. So I was going through all the reaction and watching the interviews with Boozers and all of that stuff as a Duke fan. I was in therapy last night, okay? I was just trying to be in therapy. But I see the Dan Hurley celebration. It's in the full clip from CBS. They didn't show it in the live TV broadcast, but the full unedited clip, Dan Hurley goes head-to-head, face-to-face. He stares down one of the officials in a bizarre way. So it looks like there's a little bit of contact there. As a listener says, maybe a little love tap. By the way, I'm just asking you, if you're that official, you get head-to-head with a coach, it's a stare-down now. I don't know why he did it. He was mad about whatever from the game. Would you call a technical in that scenario? That's my question of the day. So I explained it here on the Nate Brown Show tonight, how it went down. And you can watch the video yourself. It's now getting a lot of attention. It didn't start hitting hard till this morning. And now people are like, wow, this is wild. Could he do that to an official? Would you call a technical in that scenario? So you're the official, Dan Hurley face-to-face with you, stare down. It lasts maybe 3 seconds, and then he walked away. And the official was saying something. I don't know what he said. Could you call a T in that scenario after a 35-footer to win the game for UConn? There's still 0.4 seconds left. Would you tee him up right there? And then Duke would be shooting 2 free throws, you understand. So I just want you to be honest. Can you call a technical in that moment? That's my question of the day tonight. 605-720-1067. Question of the day tonight. Would you call that in that scenario? Dan Hurley in your face. There was contact. It sure looked like it to me after the big shot. Dan Hurley got in a ref's face, looked to make contact with him head-to-head. Should that be a technical? Okay, me and Matt Kearney have argued about this today. Matt Kearney says, absolutely, you call it technical. And me as a Duke fan, what do you think I would have wanted last night? Yes, I would have wanted a T, but I'm thinking about it in the heat of the moment. Do you understand that that ref can't call that? You understand that that official cannot call that? Everybody and their mother would lose their minds today. That official took it in his own hands to take away the UConn victory and called a T for Dan Hurley going head-to-head. I mean, face-to-face. I don't know why Dan Hurley even risks stuff like that. I think he just loses his mind. I mean, I think the guy's just wild. But that official can't call it then. I mean, I hate to tell everybody, I can't call that. As an official, I got to stay composed enough that I don't change the outcome of the players on the court by a nut job off the court doing whatever he just did. So I'm trying to be realistic for you as a Duke guy. I would have loved that. My Dukies win. We make 2 free throws. We win. Dan Hurley loses it for his team, and he finally gets penalized for something stupid that he does. But I can't do it today. So me as an official, I'm not going to call a T on something like that in that emotional state where things were right there. So would you call it? Should it have been called? That's my question of the day. Sound off on the text line. We'll get to a lot of your texts. We got Duke fans chiming in. We got all that stuff tonight. So I'm going to get to all that. Hang on. After the big shot, Dan Hurley face-to-face, head-to-head with the ref. Should it have been a technical? 57% on Twitter say yes, you have to call it. 43% say no, you absolutely cannot call it at that time. 605-720-1067. Sound off there on the text line. I'm going to ask Chris Denker. He's a D1 college coach. What does he think in that scenario? And does he think Shire could have called a timeout? I'll ask the coach, Chris, coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Save big money on your spring project at Menards. Fresh green grass makes your yard look effortlessly elegant. And Menards offers a wide variety of grass seed options for every type of yard. A 3-pound bag of sunny or shady area grass seed will provide you a lush lawn this spring. On sale now through April 5th. Plus, visit Menards.com and check out all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Want to do more of what you love and earn cash back doing it? With a Visa Cashback credit card from Black Hills Federal Credit Union, it's possible. Earn 1.5% cash back on everyday purchases like gas and groceries, and use it to fund your shoe obsession, vinyl collection, or airline upgrade. Plus, spend $2,000 in your first 90 days and get a $200 cashback bonus. Learn more at bhfcu.com/cashback. Offer subject to credit approval. Other restrictions apply.
Everybody knows to have success on the court, your team needs the right strategy. And it's no different with life insurance. Your team at home is counting on you to have a strategy when things get tough. Lee Cruz, agent with New York Life Insurance Company, is ready to help you make sure the most important people in your life are protected. Get a no-obligation free quote fast. Just Google Lee Cruz New York Life. Don't risk it. Make the right play. Give your family financial comfort with life insurance. Get your coverage options with Lee Cruz New York Life. 605-360-8804. Google Lee Cruz New York Life.
If you think all shoe stores are the same, you haven't walked into Trav's Outfitter. We have the biggest selection of footwear anywhere. In fact, we dare you to compare. At Trav's, you don't have to sell yourself a pair of shoes. Our team helps you find the right fit for your lifestyle. We may be the newest name on the block in Rapid, but we've been in this game for over 40 years. Come find us in the old Kmart building. Trav's Outfitter, best selection, best service, no BS.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. A red flag warning continues. Mixed precipitation possible at times. Tonight, otherwise mainly cloudy. Lows dip down to about 33. North winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Chance of snow. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 45. Cloudy skies expected. 1 to 3 inches of snow tomorrow night through Wednesday night. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, it's 59 degrees.
You'll find the best used cars and trucks at the place that sells the best new cars and trucks, and that's Denny Mental Toyota. Shop over 300 used cars, trucks, and sport utilities available, including the area's best selection of used Toyotas. Buy select Toyota certified pre-owned with financing as low as 4.75% APR for up to 60 months, including RAV4s. See us at Denny Mental Toyota or DennyMentalToyota.com. 1876 per 1,000 finance, regardless of down with qualified credit, expires 5/4/26.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills and beyond suffer a setback, Monument Health Orthopedics is here to provide comprehensive medical care. Our team of board-certified orthopedic surgeons and specialists is dedicated to helping patients regain the quality of life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown.
All right, welcome back in. Emotionally stable show today. Not quite. It's a wild one today. That's what you want on a Monday after my Dukies go down in one of the biggest shots in the tournament that you've seen, right? When you calculate the stakes, it's not the biggest shot ever, but it's got to be up there with the two big brands and a spot in the Final Four and the whole thing. I had a tough night last night. Kind of a tough day today. I'm trying to bounce back here. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio. I got a listener text that came in. He said, I know you're a Duke fan. And what did he say here? You're a better man than me. I wouldn't want to talk sports after yesterday. I do want to talk. And I want to make sure we clear some things up. And that's why I go to a guy that knows basketball. He knows basketball, former D1 head coach Chris Dinker. Going to break down the final sequence and the whole thing. I want his read. He's with Net Scouts Basketball. Chris, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, Nate. Thanks.
Appreciate your time. So here's my read on it, and you tell me. I'm just a youth basketball coach, but I've told my players, if you do not make an over-the-top pass against a trap, if you're a guard especially, it's a ball fake, it's a step through, it's a ball fake, it's a bounce pass. And I've told them it hundreds of times. And I know Caden Boozer has made that pass, a step through or a ball fake, and just a pass down the floor thousands of times. Why didn't he do it yesterday?
Yeah, I feel bad for the kid, and you're right. And as a coach, you teach the certain things. And I know my old high school coach way back when was a big proponent of overhead passes and overhead outlets. Back in the day, Bill Walton used to throw great overhead, or Wes Unseld throws these overhead outlet passes, and a lot of people don't use that type of pass. And he would want us to do that even against zone or, and quickly reversing the ball, get it and swing it. Because a lot of times a chest pass, as you just described, there are active hands from defenders. And in this instance, he kind of threw it from sort of his chest or shoulder area, which means the trajectory totally changes, and then that thing got deflected. And, and then, the other part of that is, and it's easy to say now, but had he had a better feel for the clock, did he just dribble a little bit or eat it and make him foul him, and that sort of thing. Didn't need to throw a pass. So I think it's only something that you can learn through experience, and if they hadn't done a great, amount of that perhaps, or again, he wasn't the starting point guard, 4 weeks ago, and so maybe he hasn't seen as many reps at something like that. I don't really know if there is an excuse to go with it. It's just an unfortunate play for him.
So there's people that are hitting Jon Scheyer. I don't think this is right, but you can tell me or not. As a coach, that's a split-second thing there. UConn didn't foul right away. They were trying to get a steal. Duke wasted 4 or 5 seconds off. You got the ball in the middle of the floor. I'm not going to call a timeout. It looked like if you make the right pass, you get a dunk at the other end, game over. People thought Jon Scheyer could have called a timeout. I thought that was too quick. It happened too quick. What did you see?
Totally agree. I totally agree. I don't think either coach And in that environment, in the big buildings, and they're full, it's harder for the players to hear you than you might think. And so even if he'd have yelled something, it wouldn't necessarily have gotten through. And that's to assume that, an official would have heard something either. So I don't necessarily think that that's true or, anything could have been done in that regard. I just think that, again, if he had just turned and maybe seen pressure, a little more patience perhaps, take a dribble or two, or just eat it and take a foul, we might not be talking about this. I think, you go back as a coach and you say to yourself, and this could be, you might be a high school coach whose season ended 3-4 weeks ago, and you say, okay, what do we need to work on more next year? What came up a lot this year that maybe we weren't as prepared as we would like to have been? And it could be things like, we're up 4 with a minute to go. We're down 4 with a minute to go. And now we got to press. We're not normally a pressing team, but now we've got to press, or we've got to press and foul. How do you give fouls? In the college game nowadays, you've got to give fouls without the continuation of a shot that might turn into a three-point shot. So, kids are getting better at drawing that foul, and then they get that extra step to shoot it. So there's little details there that, do you spend a lot of time practicing it? In fairness to Shire, I don't know if you've seen the video going around, and I happened to see this about a month or so ago. One of their, I think it was Trey Jones or somebody, a former Dookie, made a really smart play in an NBA game, 105-103, goes to save it out of bounds, and then he just throws it off of a player rather than saving it under the opponent's basket. And it kind of saved him the game. And Shire showed his team and said, now, what would you have done in this late-game scenario? Now, it wasn't the exact same play, but it's one of those make-you-think moments. So he's taught his guys. They just didn't execute right there.
John Shire and Duke go down. I don't think it was John Shire's fault at the end, but the second half did start getting away from Duke. Chris, I want to get your read. I said this to me in the second half. Dan Hurley's working the refs so hard, and he worked him in the first half, and I felt that second half, it got over to his side with the physicality with Terrace Reed inside. Reed was throwing people around. They couldn't guard him. It was really physical. And then UConn got into the bonus quick, about 12 minutes left in the game. It was 8 fouls to 4. I think that was Dan Hurley. Do you?
Well, I'm gonna give you a couple takes on that. I was talking about that earlier today with someone, and my hot take is I think that game was probably officiated better than the others. I didn't like some of the others at all. Even the blowout Michigan game, I thought there were so many poorly done things there in terms of like 2 or 3 or 4 goaltendings either missed or not reviewed or whatever, just a bunch. And so I felt like this game was a little better. Now, here's I'm gonna kind of go off on a tangent to come back to your question, which is I really like UConn. Some of the things they do offensively, and over the last 3-4 years, they've been really, really good. Their assistant coach that's in charge of that's now going to become the head coach at Boston College, and he and Hurley are real into the Euro game and all that. And I love all that stuff, but they get a little busy, and they do a lot of kind of false motion, and there's screen here and a zoom there and a double here and a pick and roll that really isn't meant to score, and then it's thrown over there. And it's almost like they're killing time. And I don't want to say old-fashioned delay tactics, but it's kind of they're kind of running you busy. And Duke was switching screens and using their size and staying between them and the basket, and there's no problem. You're not threatening us. Well, they got such a lead that I felt like UConn had to completely change their tune and say, we don't have all day to catch up. It'd be like if you were, Navy or Army in football and you get down by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start throwing eventually. And so they had to get after it a little bit, and so they ran a little high ball screen, horns kind of stuff, and then they tried to pound it into Reed. Well, he showed me he's better than even I thought, and he was very good down there. But what did that do? That forced the officials' hands. They were able to score with the clock stopped a little bit. Duke started to double. Now we can throw it out. And finally, Silas hits back-to-back threes, and then Caravan hits one. And it was all because they started just going a little quicker and getting it inside. And when they got it inside and into him or off drive, they got some fouls. And so I don't know if it was an officiating, Hurley thing, or if it was just they finally started attacking with their offense.
That's interesting. Chris Denker on tonight, NetScoutsBasketball.com. He's here on the Nate Brown Show talking UConn Duke. I know Dan Hurley gets after the officials, so here's one for you. It's my question of the day. My answer to it may surprise you, but because I'm a Duke fan, so people think I have one answer on this. You watch, if you saw the video, Dan Hurley, after the big shot, gets face-to-face with an official. He gets face-to-face, kind of head-to-head. It's kind of a weird thing. He's all intense. He's just a wild guy. That official does nothing. Nothing's called. I don't think you can call it technical in that moment. That's my answer. But people think, well, that would be a T if you go head-to-head with an official. What's the real call?
Yeah, I agree with you. I also understand, the premise that people are saying, well, that should have been a T, to start the game. It should be a T to the end of the game. And here's what I'll say to answer both. None of us, there's two people in this world who know what was said. And I think that official, who's a very experienced official, and this is not his first rodeo, he went to Hurley. And I don't know if he was saying, we're going to check the clock. It's good. That was an amazing shot. We're going to go look at it. I mean, I don't even know what he was saying. And he got very close. I mean, if you look, he kind of impeached on Hurley's personal space, so to speak. And so they did. Now, I didn't see it live. I did see what you're talking about and was very surprised this morning when I saw it and thought, oh, geez, that's, that shouldn't have probably happened. But at the same time, as I watched it, I thought, that official went right in there, engaged, and then got out of there, whatever he said, and it didn't seem to sort of upset either one of them or, anything. So, again, I think we better be careful, step back, and really kind of think, okay, what was said there, and what were they discussing, or was it a moment they were sharing? I mean, who knows? But, he approached Hurley, and then whatever was said was quick and out. I do think Hurley's actions are a little odd, but that's just I've just grown to accept that just is him. He just is that guy.
That was wild to me. I watched it 20 times today because I didn't catch that till this morning, as you said. It wasn't on the CBS broadcast, but then the full clip got going this morning, and then everybody's reacting to it. Well, man, kind of head-to-head, even if the official's in there, the way he looked at him, the way it was wild. I'm not calling the T because it totally changes it and people would lose their mind. I just don't think you can. Now, do you think there is such a thing as Dan Hurley working the officials and Jon Scheyer not? Or is that off?
Yeah, no, I think it's off because I think all guys, that would suggest that the guy who yells loudest is the only one they're hearing. I think in some respects it works against Hurley. And I think that there are other guys, and I would assume, I don't know this, but I would assume Scheyer is one of these that he's got a different tactic or a different approach, and I think that maybe they're hearing him just as much, and in fact, maybe more, because he might go at him with a little more of a professional approach or less emotional, or, hey, can you watch this? Listen, a lot of shoves in the back on Big Boozer down there. You guys got to help us out a little bit. And if they just say it that way, those guys, it might resonate more with them. I think every coach at this stage, even another one that's maybe not the loudest guy, but he got a little hot a couple times, was Dusty May, Michigan. He's not one of the guys. You can see even his staff. It's clearly they've talked about it when they reacted emotionally, and then a bunch of them, it's sort of something triggered emotionally, and they all put their hands out and told each other to sit down. You could just see it, and they all just, okay, we're not going to get engaged in that. And so that's clearly something that they've discussed as far as their program is concerned, but I just think that every one of them has a different way about it. Kelvin Sampson, he's not going to hide anything. He's going to tell you what he thinks. So I think they all have their own way, and I think it's up to the officials to determine.
Chris Danker on tonight wanted a coach's reaction to Hurley, Duke, Scheyer, the wild ending yesterday. It's one for the books. Last one, Chris. Who do you think has the edge? I mean, I think Arizona-Michigan's a great game. I want to know Illinois-UConn. You think, can Illinois beat UConn?
They absolutely can. I've heard a lot of people talk about how the Arizona-Michigan game might be the national title game. The funny thing about it is it's a bracket, right? So that nobody cares about upsets or whatever, and it's ultimately who ends up getting there and then who gets the job done. So, UConn has advanced, and now Illinois has advanced. A lot of people had Florida. A lot of people had Houston coming out of that bracket. Nobody was talking about, Iowa getting there or Illinois, and now here they are. Now, early in the season, And here's the interesting thing about Illinois is early in the season they were picked to be really good, really strong. And then they've gone through a good amount of injuries. They've lost different guards at different times, and so they've had to kind of juggle the lineup a little bit. And now everybody's back healthy, and they've been playing together for 3 weeks, 4 weeks now with a full boat, and it seems like they're starting to click. And now I will say that as memory serves me, I watched them play Michigan in conference play. Now, this was, again, with injuries, but it started out looking like a pretty good ball game, and then Michigan went on one of their patented runs where they just looked better than everybody else, and they ended up thumping them pretty good. I don't think that's the same Illinois team, but they are these teams, and I think you and I talked about this too, Nate, is there's a few of these teams I had as being sort of the upper tier, the Duke, Arizona, Michigan for sure, maybe Florida, maybe UConn, Iowa State, Illinois, a few of these. But the one thing is those teams were really big, and Illinois is really big. But here's the one thing I think they might do better than any of these teams is they have more shooters.
Yeah.
They can really shoot the three, and I think that's something I've been noticing in the tournament. A lot of these teams, guys are missing shots. And again, look at UConn yesterday. Couldn't make a shot until they banged 3 or 4 in a row.
Chris Denker on tonight. Great reaction to get us going on a big Monday after the huge game yesterday. Chris, I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
All right, Nate, take care.
Appreciate you. Chris Denker, NetScoutsBasketball.com, former D1 head coach at Santa Clara. Interesting perspective from a coach. Chris Denker, from Dan Hurley to John Shire and the whole end-of-game scenario. Let's jump into the high school ranks. We'll get back to hoops with Kerry Miller coming up. He's covering the tournament in the Final Four for the Bleacher Report. Kerry Miller on tap. We'll break down the Final Four. But Dan Swartos is in next, Executive Director of the Activities Association. Athletic directors are meeting in South Dakota this week. What are some big topics? Dan Swartos coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Upgrade early and save more with Renewal by Andersen. March into savings when you buy one window or door and get the second 40% off. With no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months, you can upgrade your home to energy-efficient Acclaim replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. And the best part is you pay nothing until 2027. Your first spring upgrade starts here, so don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside. You don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on, and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
To college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We're live on Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. Glad you're here. Hope you had a nice weekend. The Nate Brown Show live. Rob Kagron's coming in. It's Reaction Monday, full hour next hour with Rob Kagron, national radio host. Rob Kagron, a St. John's alum. My Dukies take him down. I was nice. That's tough. Tough loss for St. John's Friday night. And then even a tougher loss for the Dukies. I go down yesterday. We'll talk to Rob coming up. Kerry Miller's on the way, national college basketball writer covering the Final Four for Bleacher Report, and he is on tap. Dan Swartos joins us tonight. Let's talk high school sports. A few topics I want to get into. The state tournaments wrapped up, and now the ADs are having their meeting, by the way, today, tomorrow, spring meeting. Dan Swartos, executive director of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Dan, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for your time. As always, I wanted to get your early read on the AA and A boys tournaments in Rapid City. I thought the crowds were pretty darn good. Give me your honest perspective. You have any receipts, any numbers?
Yeah, I thought it went really well. I thought the ice arena was a great size for the AA boys, particularly with, it was all Huron and East. And I thought that the fans came really well. There were full student sections, which was great. Numbers were really good. I mean, I used some numbers for what we've had in the past with the AA and A boys, and it was right around that range. So we're really happy with it, and I thought it went really well.
Okay, I want to ask you about the two tournaments in the same venue. People were talking about, well, the game started at the same time. And I know I talked about that, but other people I talked to, not necessarily a Huron fan. Like, if you're a Huron fan, you're going to watch Huron. But basketball fans going, hey, I'm going to watch the A semifinal, but I want to watch this other AA semifinal. Did you guys have a discussion if this happens again, two tournaments in the same venue, could you stagger times? Is that a discussion point?
Well, we looked at a couple different things. We looked at, when we first, the Premier Center wasn't available, so we decided we're going to try them both out there. We looked at, do we split them that first day and then run the championship side through the Summit Arena and the Constellation side through the Ice Arena. And both classes of ADs didn't like that. They wanted to stay in the same spot the whole time, and didn't want to be moving back and forth. We ended up making the tickets good for either, so fans could walk between both with one ticket.
I did like that. I think fans like that, where you didn't have to buy separate tickets. Could you go like a half an hour? Like, hey, Friday night semifinal, one starts at this time, and then a half an hour later, so somebody could catch a second half.
We could certainly look at that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sort of what our schools are. They just kind of wanted to run them as there's two tournaments going on, and we're running the two tournaments, so we just kind of kept them the same. But that's something we could certainly look at.
I wanted to ask you about the earlier start time. It was just an hour earlier, but for an East River tournament like the Bees in Aberdeen, their early games were starting pretty early for Mountain Time folks out here to watch. and then a 5 o'clock start on a Friday semifinal night. Do people like that, or is that early?
We kind of got mixed feedback on that. I think in general, I know the workers and the teams enjoyed being done. The whole thought behind it was, let's try to be done at closer to 9 than 10, and particularly when we're at Mountain Time, if we're starting at 6 and those last 2 days, the games are at 6 and 8. They're getting down to about 10 Mountain. That ends up being about 11 o'clock Central Time. So we kind of worked backwards from that. If we're starting those an hour earlier, then we kind of have to start the first session an hour earlier to give time to clear the venue. I think they appreciated the end of day time being a day earlier. You're getting your kids back to the hotels by 9 o'clock as opposed to 10 o'clock for those games the next day. But on the front end of that, the teams that had to play at 11 o'clock, it's kind of weird for them. They didn't really, and they weren't sure what to think about that. So we'll get some feedback from them here at the AD conference this weekend and see what we want to do moving forward.
Yeah, one more question on the earlier start time. I was just thinking, let's say St. Thomas More won, and the boys, they didn't in that first game. Let's say they won. That's a Rapid City school. They had a nice crowd there on Thursday afternoon. If they win, they're in a semifinal. They'd play at 5 on a Friday night. You guys do want to sell tickets to a big number of folks. You think 5 on a Friday for a local team. I don't think you get as many people there, but maybe you do.
No, I'm sure it certainly would help to be at 6 to get people off of work and not have to leave work early, if they're on a normal work schedule or traditional work schedule and they're done at 5. It'd be easier for someone to get off work and run over to the monument and get there for the game. So, I'm sure we would sell more tickets if that were the case. We're just trying something new, and maybe we split something in the middle and we go at 11:30 and 5:30, or not sure. We'll have to see what the schools think of it.
Dan Sortos on tonight, Executive Director of the Activities Association, talking state tournaments. Do you envision, Dan, that there may be another year coming up where 2 tournaments might be in the same venue? The Monument's able to do that with the Ice Arena, great venue, and the Summit Arena. Because I know the tournaments are going back to Sioux Falls, but here in the future, do you envision maybe 2 tournaments in the same place again?
Well, we're scheduled to do the same thing in 28 because the Premier Center wasn't available again in 28.
Okay.
So we kind of wanted to see how this went. It'd be, I think, 3 out of 4 years that the AA would be out there, and that's going to be 4 years in a row, I think, for the A being out there. So for those eastern schools, there ends up being a lot of travel, but, the western schools are coming across the track every year now anyway. So, we'll see what this looks like moving forward. I mean, ideally, I think we'd rotate it back and forth among classes just to help out with travel for schools on both sides, to have it on each, every other year on the other side of the state. But we do have it scheduled to be out there again in 28 for both of them.
Dan Sortos joining us tonight. I want to get into something. The ADs are meeting for their spring meeting. One of the topics I saw was going to be discussed, just a discussion item, replay review at sub-state events. So you have replay review with SDPB at the state football championships and the state basketball tournament, end-of-game scenarios there at basketball. Replay review at sub-state, that would be schools hosting SODAC 16 type stuff or region stuff. You think that's possible?
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's possible. Almost every game is streamed right now. It's whether the schools want to take that on or not. I mean, right now, like for football, we use the in-house replay system that USD has. But for basketball, we use we've got a system installed on our computers, and then we have a direct line into SDPB to where we're able to either, where they have the truck, we're able to use whatever angle they have. And at the 2 locations where they don't have their main truck, we're able to basically screen record the broadcast and then pull that up when the officials come over, and then we can advance that frame by frame and use that and have them play some replays over the broadcast and show that to the officials. Yeah, it came about because we had a situation. It was Gettysburg and Ipswich, I think, this year. There was a last-second shot that got called, and got called one way on the floor, and then when you go back and look at it on replay, it was the other way, and we don't have replay. So, I mean, in theory, if the schools had an iPad or if they had a laptop at the table, and had some sort of screen recording device, and we could show them what we use, it could be done. It's just a matter of, what if for some reason there isn't a stream, what do you do for that? Is it just not available for that game? Or, those are sort of some of the things we need to look for and to look at, and I don't know if something schools would want to take on their own or not. It's pretty simple for us once you get it set up, but you've got to have someone there too, and
right.
They don't. You've got to have someone at the table running it, and they don't always have that. And you've got to have a table big enough to have an extra iPad, and a lot of places don't have that either. At state tournaments, you generally have a pretty large head table there where you can put a replay computer. So those are all the things they'll have to talk through. We've kind of got some draft language put together if they want to do it. But if they don't, we've got some protocols in place for our officials to make sure they meet up and discuss before they make a call, and trying to do everything we can to give those officials the best chance to make the correct call.
Recapping the basketball season in the books, and now into spring. The AD's meeting right now. Executive Director for the Activities Association in Pierre is Dan Swartos. Dan, I appreciate you coming on, talking over the season. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Dan Swartos on tonight here on the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director, live on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. The athletic director is having their spring meeting right now. Running through a few things. Might have some microphones for football refs. The head ref where he makes the call might have everybody mic'd up. Are they going to get replay review at sub-state events? SODAC 16, some of the regional stuff. Stay tuned. They're going to discuss that this week. Coming right back with Kerry Miller, national college basketball writer for Bleacher Report. His take on Duke, UConn, and the Final Four coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Upgrade early and save more with Renewal by Andersen. March into savings when you buy one window or door and get the second 40% off. With no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months, you can upgrade your home to energy-efficient acclaim replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. And the best part is you pay nothing until 2027. Your first spring upgrade starts here, so don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside. You don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Yes, I'm here. I've been here for an entire hour. I hope you have as well. I'm a Duke fan, and I have lived to see the sun the next day. Barely. It's a Reaction Monday here with Rob Kegron live in studio. Coming up, full hour with Rob Kegron, our guest host on a Monday. A lot to discuss there. Kerry Miller's in first. National college basketball coverage from Kerry Miller at Bleacher Report. He's on X at Carence James. It is Kerry Miller. Reaction here to Duke and UConn and more. Kerry, how are you?
Hey, Nate. How are you doing? Sorry. From one, I used to be a Duke fan, and I don't root too much anymore, but I was there. And from one former Duke fan to another Duke fan, it's a tough morning.
That was wild. I'm going to ask you this. I asked a D1 coach on tonight. He's a pro scout now, Chris Danker. He coached out at Santa Clara. I asked him if he thought Dan Hurley worked the refs, meaning, that's what coaches do. They try and change the scenario. I felt like the second half was quite different than the first half. That's what I thought. He thought UConn was more aggressive offensively and just played quicker instead of all the off-ball action. He said, we got to score quick. That's what he thought. But I thought Terrace Reed got really physical in the second half. What did you see yesterday?
Yeah, I think the foul disparity was 10-3 at halftime, and whether it was Dan Hurley working them or whether they just, the refs went back to their locker room, had that full 20, 25 minutes, however freaking long halftimes are during the NCAA tournament, but I think they got the memo about that disparity because it seemed to flip on a dime early in the second half. Now, it didn't really, nobody really got into much foul trouble, I don't think. I know Braylon Mullins had 4. Maybe Youngba or Malik Brown had 4. Nobody fouled out, but it did kind of, flip the, how the game played out. It definitely got more chippy, more physical, and it just felt like you could feel UConn kind of take it over in those first 5 minutes with the game being played that way, even though, at the first media timeout, they had only trimmed the lead from 15 to 14, but it felt like they were coming, like something had changed for sure.
Can you guard Terrace Reed one-on-one? I thought Youngba probably can. Brown, not as physical. Can you guard him man-to-man? It sure seemed like they really couldn't.
Yeah, if Youngba can't, and I know he's, he came back from a foot injury, missed the first game of the tournament. He wasn't starting, clearly wasn't at 100%. But, he was such a great defensive asset for them all season long. If Duke can't slow down Terrace Reed, I'm not convinced anyone on Illinois can because they don't have a whole lot of front court defensive strength, to put it lightly. Now, if UConn wins that game and runs into Arizona or Michigan, now that's a different story. And boy, Terrace Reed going up against Michigan would be a fun story because he was there for the first 2 years of his college career.
Yeah. Kerry Miller on tonight, covers it for Bleacher Report, and now the Final Four coming up. Duke goes down, and one of the biggest shots we've seen in the tournament. So here's how that went. I understand it was a bad pass, but if he makes a step-through pass, if he makes a ball fake and passes it down the floor, Duke dunks it, Duke wins, and then UConn, why didn't they foul? Why didn't they foul? They didn't really foul right away. They almost let it get away from them, and now the game turns on a dime because the ball's tipped. I feel like everybody's trying to blame John Shire. Well, he should have done this. Or Caden Boozer. I understand it was a bad pass, but I do feel like it was a split-second thing, and it could have went UConn. Why didn't they foul? And then nobody would have been saying, well, this was all Duke's fault. How'd you see it play out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to second-guess anything that major that happens, but, I mean, even in the moment, like, it was bizarre that Caleb Foster wasn't in the game. I know he's not a good free-throw shooter, but, like, he came back for that moment. Like, he fought back from surgery 20 days prior to the Sweet 16 to have that veteran leadership when they needed it. And instead it was, Dame Sarr and then the two Boozers. So three freshmen just kind of throwing the ball around. Three freshmen who didn't seem to understand that there were 10 seconds on the clock when the ball was inbound. They could have just stayed in the backcourt if they weren't going to foul them. Like, they didn't need to get across midcourt. They could have just drawn the foul. They had a timeout. I don't think they even realized that. So there was just a lot that was going wrong with that whole sequence. But like once Caden Boozer tried to throw the ball, and I know other people after the fact pointed out that it was very similar to how the Virginia Furman game played out a few years ago, where I think it was it's escaping my old brain who the point guard was for Virginia at the time, but he tried to just heave the ball, and as soon as Caden went to throw it, I was like, this is going to get interesting real quick.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he's made that pass 1,000 times, and he's made the right pass, a step through or a bounce pass or whatever, 1,000 times. They trapped him, tipped, 35-footer, it's in. So here's what happened after that, Kerry. I want your take on this. Dan Hurley was celebrating, and then in his bizarre fashion, kind of went face-to-face with one of the veteran official, almost head-to-head. And this video's circulating now. Seth Greenberg, former coach, is saying this is a social media makeup thing. There's nothing to it. He talked to the ref. He didn't even know what happened. I watched it 20 times. It doesn't look good to me, but I can't call it technical at that point. I'm not going that far. What did you see?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. You could also say, Malachi Smith ran off the bench. A couple of coaches jumped off the bench. If you want to get really technical about it, yeah, they could have ruined that moment for UConn by calling it technical when they, the whole team thought the game was over. They thought it was a buzzer beater. But, yeah, I didn't think there was anything to that with Hurley and Roger Ayers. I was sitting on the sideline, and Roger Ayers, the whole game was just he was over there talking to Randolph Childress and Jeff Goodman, winking at fans and stuff. He's he gets a lot of crap on social media because he is always officiating big games, but I think he's one of the chillest referees that there is. And I mean, if Hurley had gone in his face in any sort of confrontational way, I'm sure he would have done something about it. So I really don't think there was anything to it.
Okay, very interesting. Kerry Miller on tonight, national college basketball writer, Bleacher Report. A quick hitter as I let you run. You covered this game yesterday, one of the all-time big shots ever. Now it's Illinois, UConn, Michigan, Arizona. Who's playing a week from today? Who wins?
I kind of like UConn, even though I know they're going to be a bit of an underdog. The things that UConn struggles with is they get into foul trouble and they commit a lot of turnovers sometimes, but those are the two things that Illinois is not even going to try and do. They don't force turnovers. I think they're dead last in the nation in turnover percentage on defense, and they don't really play that physical style. So I think that game could go Connecticut's way. The Arizona-Michigan feels like the national championship, similar to the Miracle on Ice, where that wasn't actually the championship; it was the game afterwards. But I think Arizona. That was my pick before the tournament, even though Michigan has looked really, really good over their last 4 games. But I just think Arizona is just so tough to beat. Their floor is just so high. But if Michigan is doing their thing and they're hitting their ceiling, I mean, we've known since November that nobody's beaten Michigan when they're firing on all cylinders.
Kerry Miller covered the monumental matchup yesterday. Duke goes down. They led the entire time outside of being down 2-0 and then lose by 1 on a 35-footer. And I was staring at the walls. Kerry, back on tonight. BleacherReport.com. Enjoy it, man. Thanks a lot.
You got it. Take care, Nate.
See you. Kerry Miller on tonight covering national college basketball scene. He was at the Duke-UConn game yesterday in D.C. Find him at BleacherReport.com. Well, did Duke choke that game away? Is there such a thing? Can you say, well, it was Duke's fault, or did UConn actually win it? How would I characterize it as a Duke fan? And I'm going to ask Rob Kagron as well. He's in next. It's a Reaction Monday with Rob coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Some bread just exists. From its origin in a land far away to its destination as a bland sandwich. Country Hearth, it's made right here in the Midwest and is ready to get busy in your kitchen. Grilled or toasted and stacked sky high with all the meats and veggies. This is bread with a purpose, making every sandwich better than the last. From classic comfort to creative cravings, Country Hearth is always the right base. Don't just build a sandwich, build a legend with Country Hearth.
Mom, can we please go to Waitiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Waitiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waitiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaitikiWaterPark.com.
Get ready to swing into spring at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort with grand prize drawings that will win you a different kind of green. We've teamed up with Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club to bring you grand prize drawings every Friday and Saturday night in April. We'll draw for free rounds of golf, and one lucky winner each night will win a couple's membership. Swing into spring and take your game to the next level. Exclusively at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort in Deadwood.
Doesn't matter where your ride's from. At Al's D&I, we baby them, every single one. Got a ride from across the pond? No worries. Let the ASE certified pros at Al's D&I pamper your pride and joy. Foreign or domestic, maintenance or repair. Doesn't matter if it requires special parts or tools or if its owner's manual is in another language. At Al's D&I, we don't care where your ride's from, but we do take great care to treat your ride like it is our own. Drive on in to Al's D&I, Sturgis Road, and online at alsdniautorepair.com.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger? Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Who is it?
You're Prince Charming.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I've been calling to you, Rapunzel. Rapunzel, let down your golden hair for days.
I didn't hear you. The witch got the tower new replacement windows from Renewal by Andersen.
Didn't you wonder where I was?
Not really. My new windows are very energy efficient, keeping my tower very comfortable, and they have greatly reduced the noise levels.
What noise? You live in a forest.
Well, a certain needy prince is constantly yelling my name.
Do you not love me anymore?
Oh, quit being so dramatic.
Dramatic? Moi?
Yes, and Renewal by Andersen exclusively offers gorgeous ensemble security doors, safe and durable.
Do they?
You should get them for the castle along with new Acclaim replacement windows.
If I do, will you marry me?
Let's not rush it. And Prince Charming, get the windows for you, not me.
Oh, wait. Windows. For me?
Does your castle need new windows? Discover Acclaim windows and ensemble entry doors, custom fit and exclusive to Renewal by Andersen. Free consultations. Visit RBARapidCity.com.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
One more time.
All right, welcome back in. It is a lively Monday. It's a depressing Monday, but I hope you're having a good day. It's always a great day in South Dakota. That's the motto of the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Glad you're here. Great first hour. Chris Denker was on, former D1 head coach at Santa Clara. I wanted a coach's perspective on that mess of a final 10 seconds and really the mess of the second half for my Dukies. So Chris Denker on tonight. Kerry Miller was covering it yesterday. He was in D.C. for the Bleacher Report. He gave his read. He's been a Duke fan in the past. Can a Duke fan become a journalist? Well, that's Kerry Miller, Bleacher Report. He was on tonight, covered the game yesterday. And Dan Sortos was in, executive director of the Activities Association, talking high school sports and some big topics as the ADs have their spring meeting going on right now. That was the first hour. Catch us on the Nate Brown Show podcast if you miss any parts. And now Rob Kegron's in. It's a Reaction Monday. I've got my first question about Duke and UConn, which I want your read on. But first, let's play this out. Friday, St. John's, your Johnnies. You are a Johnny yourself, an alum. Huge passion. You guys, I sent you a nice text. I thought, this is going to be difficult for Rob. He's going to be down. This is tough. You were up by 10. I was watching. I was at a restaurant. I'm like, we're in trouble. We're in a little bit of trouble here. And I thought, I underrated St. John's. I told you that. I underrated them. I thought it was a really tough game. Duke pulled away just at the end, just barely. You were upset that night. I could tell, right?
You could tell because I didn't respond to you, Nate. And usually I'm pretty good about responding. I was, let's just say I was in a pretty sour mood by the end of the evening. And I didn't want, it's one of those things where in the past I probably would have responded, but in modern society with social media and everything, I just didn't want to be near my phone, right? Because once I go to my phone, I get on that Twitter, X, whatever you call it.
You get sucked in it.
And you absolutely do, and it's a black hole, and you go down this path, and it's like, I don't want to watch, I don't want to see replays, I don't want to see press conferences, I don't want to read anything about it. I watched the game with my own two eyes. I watched every second of it, and yeah, I was not particularly happy. We played a great game. I did say to you when I responded to you the next day that we absolutely belonged on that court with you. We were, I think you were slightly the better team, but only marginally, and that game could have gone either way. We just didn't make some shots down the stretch, and you guys played very well down the stretch, particularly in the paint.
Here's the thing about St. John's. You don't win whatever it was. What was it, like 22 out of 23 or something like that?
Yep.
I mean, their stretch was unreal. And then winning the Big East. I mean, I don't know, Big East was down, but I said, you don't win like that. And that's why I thought, probably underrated. Duke snuck away there. Well, okay, so you didn't go down the rabbit hole of social media after your loss. What do you think I did last night?
I imagine you were kind of stuck right in that, right in there.
I went way down the rabbit hole. I'm not even out of the rabbit hole yet. So my loss yesterday was, you sent me, even more crushing. I mean, it was absolutely crushing. Were you celebrating? Are you a Duke hater? Were you celebrating yesterday?
No, because in fairness, any true Johnny does not like UConn, right? They are an absolute rival. They are a nemesis. They've been better than us for a very long period of time, for the last 25, 30, last 30 years.
You don't like them.
No, I don't like them at all. Now, I do have some connections there with people that I know. Actually, one of their guy who kind of runs their program, he used to be an assistant coach, Tom Moore. I've played a lot of golf with that guy. So I do have an affinity for some of the people there. So I don't hate them as a Johnny really should. But I wasn't necessarily rooting for them either. I didn't really have a dog in the fight. I don't really like either of the two teams for the most part. I don't hate Duke by any means. I'm not a Duke hater.
Well, there was a lot of people celebrating. You see the media, they have these cameras of all the studio shows.
Yep.
And when UConn hit the shot, all the media, they were excited. What's up with that?
But they're excited because it's one of the most thrilling endings to a college basketball game, a March Madness game.
And Duke
I don't think that's why. And I know exactly what you're talking about. John Rothstein was going crazy in the studio, and I love John. I follow him on Twitter. He's excellent. I do not have a problem when because it shows a passion for basketball to get that excited. It doesn't mean that they're rooting against Duke. It's the incredible moment of a kid shooting the ball from like 8-9 feet beyond the arc and literally hitting a no doubt about it shot.
Well, the reaction should have been, wow, that was unbelievable. No, it was arms up, it was cheering, it was smiling. Everybody hates Duke, and I understand it. That's why I keep battling. I've got some Duke fans that have hit me up on the text line, so we're sticking together on this. My question is tonight, did Duke choke it away? This is always something you ask when 19 points and it was 15 at half. Did Duke choke it away? Did UConn go and win it? My wife sent a text on this. She never answers the question of the day. And she said it was Duke's fault. Duke's fault. What do you say?
I don't think it's 100% one way or the other. But I do think it is more Duke choking than UConn winning. Now, I think UConn played very well in the second half. I mean, they shot 16 out of 30 from the field. But here's the key in this game, right? Like, Duke had 8 turnovers in the second half. UConn had 5 turnovers in the whole game, right? It was a completely, and we watched every second. It was a completely different game in the second half. Now,
totally.
When you choke a game away, the other team does have to do things right? They have to make sure. It's the same for all the sports, right? You know, one team can be particularly bad with a big lead and kind of choke the game away, but if the other team doesn't respond to that or doesn't seize those opportunities, which happens, right? If UConn doesn't shoot much better, they shot terribly in the first half, right? They were awful from the field. Only 29 points in the first half. If they don't shoot at least marginally better, they don't even have the opportunity to allow Duke to choke the game away. But I think it's more Duke choking. The turnovers, the complete botched at the end of the game decision-making by the players, which obviously comes down to the coaching as well, right? I mean, there was no reason to even pass the ball. Like, why are we passing the ball?
Hang on a second.
Why are we passing it? Get fouled.
Hang on a second.
They're going to have to foul you.
Hang on a second. Everybody's talking about Caden Boozer and these guys. You understand. He makes that pass thousands of times in his career. Just a ball fake up in the air and a pass down the floor. That's all. Just a ball fake and a nice bounce pass. Duke dunk. It's over. It's over. There was nobody down there. That game's over. You're getting trapped there. It's easy to say, hey, just hold on to the ball. The way they were calling fouls, they weren't calling them for us in the second half. So I'm going to get trapped right there by 2 guys, and then I'm going to get a tie-up or I'm going to lose the ball. I can't say just sit on the ball. I can't do it.
I completely disagree with you. This is a situational awareness kind of thing. First of all, if he's that good and he's that great at passing the ball, he's not going to get trapped there either. He's going to be trapped, but he's not going to lose the ball, right? He's going to get at some point. At some point, Hurley's going to be yelling, "You got to foul him." Our only chance is that he misses one of them.
They might have fouled him.
They were in the 1-and-1.
They might have fouled him by then, but I think people were saying Boozer, the old Boozer, and Sarr, the guy who inbounded it, they should have hung onto the ball. Well, no, I'm moving it. You've seen games end like this. We're moving the ball. They can't even get a foul.
I don't have a problem with making a pass or two, and both of those passes originally, they were to open guys, right? He's the situation
that guy was wide open. Just throw it. He's wide open.
But he has 2 guys on him. The other ones that were not in the same. It was a different kind of situation. He had 2 guys swarming him. There is absolutely no reason for him to be in that position where he doesn't have to throw the ball there. He absolutely can keep it. They will foul him. They're going to first try to steal it, but then they will foul him. And that is the better decision than to get into this point where you're making a pass that by no means was that 100% guarantee that he was going to make. And clearly, because he didn't.
I am going to say Duke choked it more than UConn winning it. Number one, I said this, the last 7 minutes, they played not to lose. And you see this from teams in basketball specifically. We're going to play not to lose instead of just being aggressive and play to win. You could tell they wanted to, let's work the clock. There's 7 minutes left. Yeah. You're up by 10 still. We're working it. We got to get it to Boozer. That's the only option. Nobody else. And we just got to work it. You start being conservative. You start playing not to lose. I think Duke took 3 threes the entire second half, and that tells me let's just play this out. John Shire was he's always trying to hang on to these games instead of going and winning these games. That's my complaint with Shire, because I think he's great, but he's lost games where they've led double digits. All of these games, double-digit leads, and they can't hang on.
And you saw the stat, Nate, right? I mean, you may have already mentioned it in the first hour of the show, but they mentioned it on the broadcast last night. Number one seeds up 15 points at the half.
Yes.
We're 134-0 going into that moment.
When they showed that on the broadcast, I thought, don't do that.
That's a choke, then, right? I mean, like when it's happened 134 other times and the team has never lost, and you lose, you choked a big part of that game away.
I want to go into this Dan Hurley topic. Is this a made-up topic with Dan Hurley, or is this a legitimate thing to look at the way he treated a referee? Wild Dan Hurley coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Upgrade early and save more with Renewal by Andersen. March into savings when you buy one window or door and get the second 40% off. With no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months, you can upgrade your home to energy-efficient Acclaim replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. And the best part is you pay nothing until 2027. Your first spring upgrade starts here, so don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, good stuff on a Monday. The Nate Brown Show is on. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. It's a lot of hoops talk, and what a big day in sports. Rob Kegron's in. Reaction Monday with Rob here on the Nate Brown Show. We are powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union, my family's banking partner. I want you to know being a member at BHFCU has been the right choice for us, no doubt. Great rates on vehicle loans, personal loans, housing. I mean, they've got it all. They'll get you covered, Gabe. 18 locations across the state. From the Black Hills to Sioux Falls. Log on to bhfcu.com. Get started, become a member. From personal to business banking, get a bank that works for you. Experience the benefits. Black Hills Federal Credit Union, bhfcu.com. All right, so I didn't see this last night, and I'm watching this, and then I got in the rabbit hole, and I saw this morning, and it's really caught fire today from the game yesterday. Shot is made, 35-footer, a meltdown for me and the Duke fans, and then Dan Hurley celebrating, and everybody's doing this. And then they show the unedited clip of Dan Hurley, and he goes face-to-face with one of the veteran officials, Roger Ayers. And, yeah, this guy's been around basketball a long time. He's saying something to him like we're going to check the monitor or we might check the time. So that's what I expect. It's not heated. It's not heated. Dan just his player hit the shot. He's not mad. Stares him down. You know, it's a 3-second interaction, face-to-face, almost head-to-head. And a lot of folks are looking at it now, Rob, saying, I mean, from Dan Patrick's show to people, they're all looking at this now going, well, what is this? This probably would have been a technical at the beginning of the game. Would you look at that? I mean, did you see this video when I showed you we were going to talk about it?
Yeah, I absolutely have seen it. It does look very odd. It is an odd situation to be at the end of a game like that with this dramatic shot to get into the ref's face. Now, I've read, I know you mentioned it, I think, in the last segment, that the ref in particular says that there's nothing to this, right?
That's what he said. He didn't even realize it.
Yeah, that he didn't realize that anybody was talking about this today. So if the ref says that, I got to take him at his word. And he seems to, again, I don't know enough about college referees, but everything I've looked up about him today is he's very well respected and he has a great history in big-time games. You can't.
What would you do there?
I would do nothing. Absolutely nothing. The referee should not be the story of the game with that little time left. You cannot call a technical foul there at all. Now, if he bumped him and he did something really crazy,
it was head-to-head. He bumped him.
It's head-to-head. I wouldn't say he bumped him, though. I'm talking about a real shove or something like that. Again, I don't want the game being decided by the refs unless it absolutely has to be. And you, even as a Duke fan, would admit, I think you have to admit, that you would have a weird taste in your mouth if you won the game after losing to that shot by making technical free throws.
Yeah, so I said at the beginning, I threw this topic out. It's our question of the day on the Nate Brown Show. If you missed this, I want you to look at this, okay? YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're at. Dan Hurley gets in the ref's face after the big shot and looks to make contact with him head-to-head. It's not like a headbutt. People are saying, oh, a headbutt. No, it's not that, but it's weird. He got in his face, head-to-head contact. You're not supposed to do that. Would you call a technical there, or would you just can't call it there? I've said as a Duke fan, I would celebrate. I'd be so happy Dan Hurley screwed it up. Oh, what a fun deal. But I would not do it. You can't do it.
You can't.
Matt Kearney said you have to do it.
No, you don't.
He said you have to do it.
And this is where I have a huge problem with people who think that the games have to be officiated in the same way in the first quarter or first half as they do at the end of a game. I don't believe that. I think, and the fact of the matter is, in every sport, you watch them let the guys play more towards the end of the game or in the playoffs than they do in the regular season or in the first quarter. Games are so... There's so much to any sporting event that you can't treat a meaningless moment in the first quarter as you do at the end of a game. And the fact is, referees, officials know that, and they do that on a regular basis. And so maybe they want to send a message early on in the game, but they're not going to do the same at the end of a game, because at the beginning of the game, there's enough time to recover from that. At the end of the game, if he calls a technical foul there, he's essentially handing the game to Duke. And he's the story.
He is the story.
And you don't want the official to be the story. There's no way they could do that. I don't necessarily want to rub salt in your wound, but did you hear the radio broadcast of the Duke side?
Yes, of course.
They're talking about Malachi Smith, who's a player for UConn, ran onto the court.
Hey.
That should be a technical foul. That's not the story, guys. At that moment, the story is your team coughed up a 15-point lead in the second half. That's the story.
Let me ask you, though. Here's the thing. The player did come on the court, so I'm going to let that go. And then Dan Hurley does the face-to-face, head-to-head thing, contact with the ref. That was bizarre. That was stupid to do. I mean, what is he doing? By the way, listener text coming in. I got a couple here, and then we'll read through these. Listener text, you can't call that a technical, cannot punish the players for some emotion that had minimal effect on the game. If a player did it, different story. And we don't know the relationship between Hurley and the ref. So that's one side. You can't call the technical at that point, but I do have to say between Dan Hurley and Jim Harbaugh, they're both nuts. Okay, here's one. All capitalized. This is all capitalized. You call the technical.
No, you don't.
You call it.
You don't call technicals at the end of the game like you would at the beginning of the game. You don't. That's not how sports works.
57% of our audience on Twitter says you have to call it.
What?
43% say you can't call it there. I'm even admitting
57% of the audience thinks that you should call a technical foul there at the end of the game and hand the game to the other team after they deserve to lose based on their performance.
I don't know if you hand the team, they still got to make two free throws.
Yeah,
they're going to make two free throws.
You're handing them the opportunity when they had no opportunity to win the game at that point.
But you got to. I'm with you. I don't call it, and I admitted that I'm a Duke fan, so I'm big enough to say I can't call it. You wouldn't call it. You don't call it. However, what do you do? What if Dan Hurley lost his mind? What if 4 players ran out onto the court? What if they did that? You just let that stuff go?
Literally call it March Madness. Okay,
so
it's
you let
madness.
anything go.
I don't let anything go. Again, if there's 4 seconds left in the game and they all storm the court, that's a different story. There were honestly, when he shot it, I thought the clock might expire as he was making the shot. Right? I didn't actually think there would be any time left.
It didn't. 0.4.
But with 0.4 seconds left, you give a little bit more leeway than you would with 4 seconds left. Right? You just would, because with 4 seconds left, they absolutely can develop a play and have a real chance to come back, and you don't want to interrupt that. With 0.4 seconds left, I'm not going to. For one guy running on the court.
What was Dan doing there? I mean, you watched the video. I watched it 20 times.
He's a maniac, right? He's crazy on the sideline. I love him for it. I know it rubs people the wrong way. I have the same kind of passion just sitting in my living room watching sports. So I love that that's the kind of guy he is. I think this was very bizarre, but there has to be more of a backstory to this as well, right? Wow. They clearly have some kind of rapport between them.
Well, I don't like that either. I don't like that either. I don't need friends.
Officials have that all the time with coaches.
We can't have friends out there. I do think
nobody gets more calls in college basketball than the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, Dan Hurley does.
That's not true.
He got the officials over to his side in that second half. It was unbelievable.
You are the biggest conspiracy theorist that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I just talked to Kerry Miller, Bleacher Report. He's a sports writer. He said the second half,
as you said,
second half totally changed. He said the officiating totally changed.
The game changed. The game changed dramatically. It was a wildly different game in the second half. I read off the air during the break. I read you the stats. It was not crazy disparity between UConn and Duke in the second half.
8 fouls to 4 with 11 minutes left. 8-4. They were in the bonus. 11 minutes. Unbelievable.
I don't think
you come back with the clock stopped and you make free throws, and that's how it chipped away. All right, good stuff tonight. Good exercise. Listener text: rules are rules.
No, they're
not.
They're not. They're not. I'm going to fight this one off. I don't know who rules are not rules. The rule at the beginning of the game is not the same at the end of the game. That's just the way it is in sports.
Well, okay.
It's been like that forever.
So
they're not always going to call pass interference during a Hail Mary.
How about this one?
It's the same rule. Well, this is a good one. It's the same rule. I'm getting my eyes are going to pop out.
How about this
one? It's the same rule.
How about this?
If you interfere with the guy, should we call it in a Hail Mary when they have a chance? No. You don't call it.
How about targeting? We get an interception. The receiver gets killed. It's targeting. College football, okay? Yeah. It's targeting. We took it back for a touchdown. We won. Officials throw it. It's targeting. Touchdowns off the board. Sorry, you lose. It's targeting. Do you call it in the fourth quarter like you would in the first?
But targeting gets reviewed. That's the problem with your example. Targeting gets reviewed by the booth, right?
Well, I didn't have to review this. No. I saw head-to-head. I was the ref. I got face-to-face. That's contact. That's a T. That's a T.
It's not always, though, right? Not ever. Technical fouls are judgment calls, right? The referee is deciding whether something is a technical foul or not.
I just teed you up right here for your outburst. Right there. You're out. And we're back. Would you take the North Carolina job? Let's switch gears just a touch. And Tiger Woods in some trouble this past Friday. It's all coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people get into all kinds of vehicles with loans as unique as them. Trucks, cars, SUVs, we finance them all with local service and rates starting as low as 4.99% APR. That's right, 4.99%. Keep your loan local and find the one that fits you at bhfcu.com. Apply today online or text 605-718-1818 to get started. Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member-owned and insured by NCUA.
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
Let's be honest. Most big shoe stores just point you to a wall and they wish you luck. Not at Trav's Outfitter. We actually help you find the right fit. From boots to athletics or casuals, no matter what you do, we'll help you find the right pair. Stop out to win Luke Bryan tickets, and you can find us in the old Kmart building. Trav's Outfitter, best selection, best service, no BS.
We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold iCar certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Fun show on a Monday. If you missed parts of it, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. It's there on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Search the Nate Brown Show, and then you've got South Dakota Sports Talk Show in podcast form. You can listen when you can on demand. The Nate Brown Show podcast available wherever you get your podcast. Rob Kegron's in tonight. Perfect night to have him. Well, we're both in a mood, I'll tell you. I just teed him up. And St. Johnny's went down Friday. My Dukies went down yesterday. Final Four, I mean, I was passionate about it. I wanted to see Duke in there. I think they're good enough to be there. You thought St. John's was in that mix. And I'm thinking about it. It's like Final Four is going to be good. You got big brands. You got the whole thing. And you got some of these coaches. Arizona has Tommy Lloyd. And somebody that people may not know about, it's like, well, he's been good. Arizona's been always in there, and they always choke. Well, maybe this is the year. But here's the question. This is a little different question. North Carolina's job is open. And Tommy Lloyd made a statement over the weekend, something like, I want, this program to be good. It'll be good after I leave, and it's I carried this on from Lute Olson, and he made this program, and this program will be good after I leave. And then people thought, Tommy Lloyd's going to go to North Carolina. What about Purdue's Matt Painter? Would he go to North Carolina? So if you're looking at North Carolina, you're at Arizona. Let's say you're at Arizona. You take the North Carolina job. I don't know about the money, the resources. It's probably better. ACC, huge brand. Do you leave Arizona? You leave Purdue?
If I'm Matt Painter, I don't leave Purdue. Okay,
you don't.
No, if he has 500 wins there. He's done well, but he's never won an NCAA championship. Right? He can basically be the head coach of Purdue for as long as he wants. Right? He was a disciple of Gene Cady, the legendary coach from Purdue. He has strong ties there. I could see if he had won at Purdue moving, and if Tommy Lloyd were to win with Arizona next Monday night, if they beat Michigan, get to the championship game and win, then I could see it, right? Because I do think sometimes coaches need new challenges, new opportunities, and if you have won in Arizona, I could understand making the jump to North Carolina. But if you don't win, right, why would you want to go to a job that has so much more pressure to win than you do in Arizona? Arizona, you can kind of map your own path there every year, right? You get players. They like going to live in Tucson. You're in the Big 12, which you can win almost every single year.
Pac-12, yep.
Well, they're in the Big 12.
Oh, yeah, now they win Big 12, yeah.
You're in they were in the Pac-12 where they were super successful. You're in the Big 12. North Carolina has don't get me wrong, they have a great fan base, but they demand a lot, right? And
you're going against Duke. You have
tough competition every single year. And I'm not saying if you win, I could see wanting that challenge.
If you win.
But if you don't win, right? You think the job's going to be better or easier in North Carolina? It's going to be tougher.
This is Roy Williams, though. This is at Kansas, premier program, and he goes to North Carolina.
But he won at Kansas, right? He went after he had already won at Kansas. I think when you win, it's okay to make that kind of move to challenge. And because if you win in two places, I mean, it's legendary status to win championships. How many coaches in the history of college basketball have won championships at more than one university, right? It is, I mean, I should know this off the top of my head. I know Pitino has. I'm trying to think of how many other, Roy Williams has. How many other guys have done that, right? There are just not many. And so I could see doing that. But you have a really good setup at Arizona. I would not go to a tough place like North Carolina unless I had already won and was well established where I was. And Painter, for as successful as he's been, has not won.
We can say the Big 12 is easier than the ACC. I mean, you got some programs that have stepped up.
I don't know about that.
I think so. Texas Tech, some of these guys.
Well, Texas Tech was great this year until Toppin got hurt, right?
Well, I know, but Texas Tech, TCU, you're putting them up with Duke.
I mean, Houston's in the Big 12. Let's be fair about that, right? I mean, the Big 12, Baylor has won a national championship, right?
Take my chances.
They weren't good this year, but I mean, I think here's what I'd say. The top of the ACC is better than the top of the Big 12 for the most part. But I don't think the Big 12 is a much deeper league than the ACC is. The ACC has
there's some programs that have fallen off in the ACC.
And have fallen off for quite a while now, right? And that's the problem I have with the ACC is that they have dropped on that bottom level. I'm not saying that the Big 12 is head and shoulders. I just think top to bottom, the Big 12 is a stronger league than the ACC is.
I wonder if North Carolina is a premier. It should be, but people have said, why doesn't Michael Jordan do something for that program? They were talking about North Carolina maybe not even being up in that tier with Duke as far as resources and support.
Well, that makes no sense because they should be I mean, they should be top of the top. I mean, is there a bluer
Should be,
blood
but-
than North Carolina, right? Like, I mean, it's Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina.
But
right?
have they been there lately?
Well, a few years ago, right? I mean, Krzyzewski's last year, let's be fair. I mean, Hubert Davis did beat Krzyzewski on his home
When
court.
was that? When was that?
2022?
Or maybe
I think it was
somewhere in
22,
there.
right? And then they also beat him in the Final Four. Now, they ended up losing to Kansas in the final game, but they're not that far removed from beating Duke in a Final Four and being in the national championship.
But you wouldn't leave Purdue for North Carolina? Matt Painter, if they offered Matt Painter the job, he's taking that.
I would not, because I don't. Yes, if you ever won at North Carolina, it would be incredible. But you haven't won at Purdue. What tells me you're going to win at North Carolina? I mean, North Carolina is a tougher job. That fan base is tougher. You have a great gig in Purdue. Stay there.
Who can North Carolina get? You start wondering, who can they get? They were talking big, Billy Donovan, we're going to get him from the NBA. I don't think so.
That's a problem. They have a big problem. They like to hire coaches who have strong ties to North Carolina. Who's out there that has strong ties to North Carolina? I think in the end, probably whether he wins or not, I think it will be Tommy Lloyd. I think the fact that he alluded to that he won't be there forever.
People said, he wasn't saying anything about that.
Well, why bring that up? I mean, you're talking about why in that position would you ever even give someone the thought that you might be considering leaving? Coaches are too smart. They're too well trained nowadays. You don't say something like that unless you want it at least slightly out there.
Tommy Lloyd, Arizona taking on Michigan. You got Illinois, UConn Final Four coming up Saturday. Tiger Woods arrested, DUI. This is the second time. It's not alcohol related. Where's Tiger Woods going from here? We'll wrap up the show next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Upgrade early and save more with Renewal by Andersen. March into savings when you buy one window or door and get the second 40% off. With no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months, you can upgrade your home to energy-efficient Acclaim replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. And the best part is you pay nothing until 2027. Your first spring upgrade starts here, so don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
In Details Studio, sales, service, and recreation. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in your sports, your show, the Nate Brown Show on tonight, Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. Glad you're here. Rob Kegron's been in. Reaction Monday, full hour with Rob, and go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. A lot of great guests in the first hour as well, talking a lot of hoops tonight. Okay, Dan Hurley, you said, is already one of the best coaches ever in college basketball. He's going for 3 titles in 4 years if he can get it. He's already got 2, and you're putting him up there with Coach K and people like that.
I mean, he needs a little more longevity for a Coach K, but he's not far behind. I mean, how many guys are ahead of him right now? Coach K, Bob Knight, Dean Smith, Wooden, of course.
Roy Williams?
I think he's right up there with Roy Williams. I think he's pretty close to Williams. I think he's right there on pace with Jay Wright. I think now Pitino is probably a little bit behind, but not much. I mean, he's absolutely top 10 all time right now.
Top 10. Yeah. Top 10.
He's not top 5. He wins 3 in 4 years. He launches right up. I mean, he's every bit. 3 in 4 years is so incredibly good. It is so. When you think about the gauntlet you have to do to go to the tournament.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
John Shire, not in that category yet, but people like picking on John. People like Rob like picking on John. That's for another day. Let's go to this story. Kind of a tough one. Tiger Woods gets arrested. He has a vehicle turned over. He turned over his vehicle. DUI, suspected of a DUI, not alcohol related. This is not the first time. We remember this happened before. People are insinuating here he's got all these surgeries. He's had all these back surgeries, all this pain. People are saying, well, he's under the influence of whatever. And so you're starting to think, is Tiger, where's Tiger at here? He wants to play again. Is he going to be able to play again?
I think eventually, yes. I think this is an incredibly sad story of a guy who's had this, he's had such a fall from grace, came back, was basically lauded for the last number of years as this incredible guy, and then he just keeps making these terrible judgments. And obviously there's something going on there, and I don't want to rush to judgment, right? We don't know all the details of this particular one yet, but it sure seems like something's up, and he's addicted to something. And obviously he's had a terrible go with injuries and surgeries, and clearly he's admitted to taking painkillers in the past, certainly. It seems like that's what this is. Do I think eventually he'll play again? Yeah, I think America loves a comeback, and America loves Tiger Woods.
He wants to.
But he's probably going to have to go out of the public eye for a while again before he ever comes back. I don't think he's playing at the Masters. I'll say that. I think it'd be very surprising if he shows up next week at Augusta, and because he knows this will be the whole story. So it really makes it tough for him to do it then. But I think he'll play again, yeah.
Dan Patrick said this morning he believes Tiger has lost his identity. He used to be Tiger, and now he's not Tiger.
I think for Tiger, it's the easiest thing to regain that identity, right? It won't take very much because America wants to see him do well. But I think to a certain extent, Dan's right.
For Rob Kegron, it's Nate Brown. The Nate Brown Show in the books. We are back tomorrow. Thanks for listening. The Nate Brown Show podcast going up now.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than